Welcome to the Spotlight series where we put the spotlight on women who are conquering their fears to leave you empowered that if they can, you can also. And I have a special guest in the house today, Dr. Nicole. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to be on the Spotlight series.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. All right, so before we jump right into it, can you just tell us more about yourself?
My name is Nicole. Actually, Anyangwe Nkomonyo. Nicole is just an alias because my names are very hard to pronounce. So my classmates from college decided to give me a name, which has stuck with me since 1994.
Wow, and how's that been?
Nicole.
So what's the real name?
Anyangwe Nkomonyo.
Wow, and you're from
Cameroon.
Cameroon. So we have a Cameroonian sister in the house. All right, awesome. And I've heard a little bit about your story. I've had the opportunity to speak to you, and that's something that we want to go into details here because you've been through different phases. You've literally gone through different experiences that some women are maybe just going through one. So from being a victim of domestic violence, you divorced, you have two beautiful kids, you wanted to go through a particular career path, and now you found yourself in another career path. That's like a whole life journey right there. So how has that journey been so far for you?
It's been very, very difficult, but very rewarding. And of course, I thank God for that. It's not been an easy road. There's been a lot of challenges, but I've made it through, and I'm here today.
Right. At the end of the day, it's all about how our experiences shape us, right?
Right,
We're not allowing it to bring us down, but what are we learning from it? So focusing on the divorce part, the domestic violence part, in our society where it's you have to be in a marriage regardless of what is going on. How did you get the courage, or what was going through your mind through that, through that whole journey? And for someone out there who probably is in something that's similar to your story, which I would love if you could just give us a little bit summary about it so that they can relate and also learn how did you go through that, how did you come out of it on top?
Well, I'm an advocate against domestic violence. Domestic violence is something, for me, a lot of, especially being Africans in our community and in our culture, domestic violence is tolerated. But as we all see, domestic violence can lead to death.
Right.
We've lost a lot of people to domestic violence, so it's something that I tolerated it for a while, but it became worse and worse as the days went by. So the last episode, I decided that was it for me because the next time I was gonna get killed. So it's something that I don't advise anybody to stay in if it's there. It's actually you fix it. It can be either from a woman or from a man.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. It's not unisex because we have this notion that domestic violence always is by a man, but we have some women who are actually violent. So it's either you fix it, and fixing it has the first thing has to be the person who is the perpetrator has to realize that they're doing something which is not right. There's a problem, because if they don't recognize it's a problem, then it cannot be fixed. And if you're in a relationship that is of domestic violence and the perpetrator doesn't realize it's something wrong, always tries to justify themselves, I would advise you look for a way to get out of it because you cannot fix that person if they don't realize
That's
they have
an
a problem.
issue.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I know that it's easy for people to say, "Oh, just get out of domestic violence," but people still stay in. Why do you think
it's very difficult to live a relationship, especially a marriage. I was in the relationship for 14 years, married for 10 years, with 2 kids, and at that time, my youngest child was 3 years old. So it's very difficult because you built your life around this person, and you're looking at yourself like, how am I gonna live without this person? Because that's your nucleus, that's your family nucleus. Financially and otherwise, you're dependent some kind of way on this person, or both of you on each other. So it makes it very difficult, especially when you have young kids.
Right.
So it's hard to really do it, but once you realize the matter of life
Life
and
and
death,
death.
in my case, it was very violent. There was blood, so worse than that. After the blood,
What's
it's gonna be
next?
death. So that's why I decided to leave.
So you literally had to get to a tipping point before you could say, okay, it's I have to leave.
Yeah.
What about your kids at that point? Because I know kids are one of the major factors why a lot of women, talk about women now, stay in. So what about the kids? You know, especially women saying, okay, I don't have a job. I depend on this marriage, emotionally, financially, and I have kids. You know, what would you tell that woman out there? Like, how do you step up?
I'll be honest with you. For me, it was easier because my ex-husband was working out of state, so he came home on weekends, and so we did not have the classic family where every day you wake up, you get kids ready, you go to school, you take kids to school. So the kids were kind of more attached to
To
me
you?
than to their father. So it was kind of easier for them to go through that process. As a matter of fact, they did not really realize there was a difference. So all they know now is when daddy comes to town, he doesn't stay at home. He
Okay.
stays somewhere else. So that's the only thing they've noticed in the difference in the relationship. Other than
Right.
that, there's really not much of a
Different.
difference. Yeah, but I always tell people those same kids that you're staying in that marriage for
Hmm.
is the reason why you have to leave, because you don't want your kids to be in that kind of an environment. You might not realize it because when it's domestic violence, a lot of times people don't mask it. They do it in front of the kids,
Mm.
and you're affecting your kids by sitting there and having all these fights, all this violence, them seeing it. You might have a daughter. You don't want your daughter to think it's okay for a man to do that to her, and you don't want your son, vice versa, to think it's okay
For him to do that
to
to
do
a
that
woman.
to a woman. So you don't want your kids to grow in this environment. And what if you get killed? The same kids you're staying in there
Mm.
because of them, then they lose you earlier on in life. So what purpose did it serve?
That's a very good question, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not there for them.
Yes.
You've lost a parent. And when you were going through all this, how was the support of maybe friends, relatives, or family? Was it someone that you could open up to? Because, you know, there's some things that we women, we love to just keep within ourselves because we try to put up that front because, you know, hey, I don't want people to think that, you know, this happened in my home, or I don't, even in business, I don't think that people think, oh, my business is going bankrupt, I'm not having clients. So put up this show out there. But was there an outlet for you, or was it all internalized?
Um, Honestly, nobody knew about it. It's something that I kept to myself.
Mm.
I did not tell anybody. It had gone on for a while, and nobody really knew about it until that last
Tipping
episode,
point.
that tipping point, that there was no way to hide it because it was so violent, and I was so scared I was gonna get killed. And one of my friends, one of my older friends, I call her my big sister, she actually called me when that thing was going on. And by the grace of God, my ex-husband had my phone in his pocket, but for some reason he took out the phone and
Yeah.
looked at it and saw my friend's name, and he gave it to me. And at that same time, his phone was ringing, so he took his phone and went to the hallway. As soon as he did that, I told my friend, I need help.
Mm.
I need to be saved. So that's how it all happened. Maybe if it did not get to that point where there was blood and all of that, I would have still
Stayed in.
stayed in. Who knows? You know, it's hard. But once I told her that, because I realized if I don't get help, I might get killed.
Mm.
So she came over, and of course there was a lot of people after that involved. Like he called his own group of people, and so that's how it all came out. And so they started asking me, "Is this the first time?" And that's when everybody found out
Literally.
this was not the first time. But we all have that tendency. It's human as women, especially, to mask domestic violence. You know, you want to give this impression that you have the perfect marriage, you have the perfect family, and all of that. And I don't blame anybody for doing that because
What
it's
is
just
the
human.
cost of that?
Because there's this image we want to give to society. It's all about image. It's all about image. You don't want your family, your friends to think, oh, your marriage is failing We all have that tendency of making everybody think, oh, we have the perfect life, everything is going okay, my husband, my kids are the best. You know, it's all about image. That's what it is. That's the bottom
Interesting.
line.
That's very interesting. And you know, images definitely put a lot of people into trouble, you know, doing things they want to do, saying yes to things they don't want to say yes to. So, what do you think is the best way to be a woman of your own and realizing that you can never really satisfy everyone? Like, at what point do you get to that level to say, okay, you know what, enough is enough, enough of the image, enough of the pretense, enough of trying to hide things. I need to live for myself because at the end of the day, I'm going to give account for my activities, I give account for what I've done with my life and purpose on earth. What, you know, how do women grow from pretense to being real?
I think it's something of it's maturity. It comes with maturity. Because if you're immature, you're worried about what society thinks about you. You're worried about what people say about you. But once you're mature, you get to a point where you be real. You're real. You don't bother about what you do, what you think is right for you, and of course, us being women of God, what is right in God's eye, and you don't worry about what society thinks. I think it's just about maturity. Because a lot of us, even, and maturity is not about age. You know, people think maturity, age. Maturity has nothing to do with age because I've seen some women and men too that are very mature in their 20s. And I've seen men in their 60s who are very immature.
Right.
So it's nothing, it has nothing to do with age. It's just a point of self-realization that what the world thinks about you doesn't really matter insofar as you are who you are.
All right. So, what do you think women? Why do you think women stay in marriages that they're, you know, their spouses, their husband is being violent to them? And I know it's something about, you know, trying to portray that perfect marriage, trying to pretend that everything is going all right. You know, even in business, even in life, just have that. You know, I don't want people to think anything is wrong with me. Why do you think we do that as women? Why can't we just be, hey, this is me, accept me for who I am, if you're my friend, cool, if you're not my friend, okay, bye. Why do we have to put up that front at all times?
It's all about image, trying to make the world think you have this perfect life, this perfect family, perfect kids. Your kids are all A plus students. Your husband is a perfect man, opens the door for you, pulls out the chair for you. You just have this perfect life that God gave you. So it's all about the impression, about image you're trying to give to people. Nobody, especially us and the Android generation, and all this Facebook and Facebook especially, people, you're looking at stuff there, so everybody has a tendency of trying to say my life is perfect because people go in there to portray this perfect life that they all have. So nobody wants to show that, oh no, my own life is not perfect. Everybody else's life is perfect. So we all have to show the world that we all have to be better than everybody else's.
So how do we break through that then? How do we move from that level of, how do we break through the pretense? Just I mean, like, at the end of the day, it takes a level of courage really to be like, this is who I am, me, my flaws and all. So for a woman to say, to get to that point of self-awareness and, you know, confidence in who she is, what took her to that level?
Maturity. You have to, it's maturity, period. You have to be mature. You get to a point where you say, you know, enough of this fakeness. I don't care what the world thinks. I don't care what people think. This is who I am. You either take it or leave it. This is my life. I am who I am, and that's who God created me to be. I cannot fake it to people anymore. This is my life. So it's all about maturity and self-realization.
And maturity, you said, is not a function of age. So what's it a function of?
Absolutely, maturity is not a function of age. It's just, it's so funny. Like I'll give an example. Like your husband is someone that I admire. He is a young guy, and I always say, Dixon is way mature than most of the men that I know. You know, so it's just something. I think maturity sometimes innate. Sometimes it's innate. Sometimes it's some people just mature quicker than others because there are men who are 60, 65 years old. They still are very immature. They don't know how to make the right decisions and all of that. And there's men who are 20 years old and they're already at that level of maturity that they don't worry about what the world thinks. They make their own decisions, they stand on their own, so sometimes it's innate, as I said, and sometimes people just realize themselves quicker in life. They're not interested in what is going on out there. They're just who they are, and that's it.
Right, and then I believe also maturity comes from growth, reading, productive materials, engaging with people who are maybe way outside your comfort zone, just exposing your mind to intellectual things is what gives you a better overview of life and its experiences, so that whenever you're faced with situations, you know how to handle yourself better, and you have a full understanding of who you are as a woman or as a person. All right, I'm going to just go back to, the aftermath of the whole domestic violence issue. And the reason why I'm kind of like focusing on it is because I know some women would probably have a challenge with saying, so if I leave, what happens of me? What happens with my children? How do I take care of myself financially? How do I build up myself? What will people say again? Things like that. So how has it been for you after?
It's been exactly what you just said. I was thinking about all of that, but as I said, I couldn't stay there anymore because I'm worried about what people would say. It's been very difficult. Of course, people have said all kinds of things, or as Africans, we always blame the woman for some reason. I don't know. It's because of you. It's because you did this and that. That's why what happened. So it's been very challenging, but you have to just regroup yourself and focus, and that's the only way you can make it. It's not impossible, it's difficult, but if I did it, anybody can do it. You just have to pull out your inner strength, because God gave each and every one of us that inner strength. You just have to get yourself together, find a vision, pray for a vision, and put it to action. Don't just have the vision and sit there and feel sorry for yourself, because nobody's gonna help you.
Right.
Especially us being in the Western world, nobody's gonna help you. Even if you have siblings, we have 5 siblings living here, but everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own life. They're not gonna live their life to come help you out of your situation. So you just have to know that you are on your own. God being your helper. And these kids, especially for women who have kids, are looking up to you for their daily bread, for shelter, for everything. So you have to do what you have to do to move forward. You have to.
Is there anything that you wish you could have done differently?
With regards to what?
Your marriage.
Of course, because I believe when there's a problem, being a marriage, being any kind of relationship, siblings, whatever, it always takes 2 people. It's just never about that one person. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm the angel. I did nothing wrong, because maybe some things that I would have done would have changed, the outcome of the marriage. And one thing I would advise the younger women is, and younger couples as a whole, you both have to have God as your foundation, because once God is the foundation of your marriage, it's very, very difficult. It's a triangle, like we all know. It's God, the man, and the woman. God has to be the head of the household. And then you as a woman, your husband is ahead of you. I don't care if you're a doctor, you're making $20 million, and your husband is making $20. Well, guess what? You married that man, that was your choice. He's the head of your household.
Right. That's a very interesting conversation, because so many talk over there, out there in the world, women, men, equal rights and all that. But we're not going to go into that conversation, right? Because that just takes us off topic. But you mentioned vision, about the woman finding a vision and growing from it, and not just putting the vision there and waiting for miracles to happen, expect the vision to, actualize itself. So I would want to, or I'm sure everybody want to also know, what was your vision when you were coming out, and now, because I know you're a successful businesswoman, and I also know that you started off on a career path, but you switched lanes as well. That's something I also want to hear more about. What was the career path? What caused you to switch lanes? So you talked about vision, about the woman before you while you're even in a marriage, you know, you have a vision for yourself. You know what you've been called to do. Don't just fold your hands, write something on paper and expect, you know, the angels to come down and execute them. So for you, what was your vision as a woman?
Okay. Actually, I left Cameroon, as we said, I'm in Cameroon as a young girl. Went to Europe and I went to medical school. So, and of course, I graduated as a physician. Moved to America with my family, my husband, and I had a daughter at that time. We moved here because I thought America would be the best place to raise my kids. I was in Italy, so I didn't want my kids to go to school in Italian, and I know the educational system is not the best over there. So I wanted us to live in America so can, you know, the kids can have the best. So being a physician, moving here, having kids, having a family, my ex-husband, you know, pharmacist, while we're both struggling, you know, doing boards, you know, transitioning into the American system. So it was kind of hard for us. But long story short, when he left, I was still trying to do my boards. You know, so at that point, I asked myself, I'm trying to do the boards. I wasn't working at that time when he left. I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom, just studying for my boards. So, you know, once I'll backtrack a little bit. He had walked out on us before the domestic violence came in.
Okay.
So he, you know, he went back to Cameroon and left us here. So I was here with my 2 kids at that time. So I was working. I had to look for 2-3 jobs to be able to put food on the table for my kids, to put a roof over our head. I had to go be a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. So I was just walking around the clock. I used to go for 2-3 days without laying on the bed, but that was the only way I could do it, to be able to pay bills and for us to make my kids not suffer, you know, not be deprived of anything. That's the only way I could do it. And at a certain point, I asked myself, I'm like, how long can I do this? How long can I live this life, walking around the clock, not sleeping 2-3 days? We all know the consequences it's gonna take on our health. You know, I said, I can't do this. My kids are young. At that point, I'm in my 30s. I can't do this for long. So I have to look for a plan B. So that's how I was thinking, I prayed to God, I said, God, show me what I could do. And I had all kinds of things in my head at that point because I wanted something that would work and work almost right away. So I thought about doing all kinds of stuff, having a thrift store, you know, opening a cleaning business. I thought about all kinds of stuff. And I was working as a CNA for a home health company. And then one day I just said to myself, why do I have to work for somebody? I don't think this is going to be something complicated to start. You know, why don't I find out the information of how to start this and then do it myself? So that's how it all started. I found out the information. In my mind, I thought you had to be a nurse to have a home health business, but I found out you don't have to be nothing. You don't have to be, not a doctor, not a nurse, just have to have the vision. And you can start it. So I found that, and that's how CNC Healthcare Services started, was born. And one of the reasons why my now ex-husband became frustrated and violent, I would say, was because, I mean, the violence had started before, but there were a lot of things that once I started this business, and then his things were failing, so he came back and it was kind of like frustrated, like kind of like taking his anger on me. He wasn't there when I started, but he came back and I took him back and everything, you know, was flowing, but he had so much anger and so much frustration in him. That's how, you know, the domestic violence went to its peak.
Because of your success?
Yeah, I think that, well, at that point, I'm not gonna say I was very successful.
It was working.
But it was working, and he being a pharmacist at that point, it wasn't working for him, and so he became very, I'm not gonna say, it was kind of jealousy and insecure.
Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna go back to, you know, you being a CNA. What was the initial career path? You wanted to be a doctor, right? And then CNA. And you know, for some other women, women will probably think, I wanted to be this, and all of a sudden I'm this. So, and they will write themselves off as failures. At that point, did you see yourself as a failure?
No, I didn't see myself as a failure because my whole point of going to be a CNA, being a physician from abroad and coming here and going to, at that point in my mind I was just being a CNA to put food on the table.
Okay.
And then doing it for a year and plus, I'm like, okay, I can't do this for too long. And the rate I was going, I couldn't study for my boards either. So I'm like, let me start this. So I did not, to me, it was like, we have to survive and I have to do something within the legal limits.
So it was a phase.
It was a phase. To me, it was just a phase. So I had to do that for us to survive, and that's why it was easier for me.
Okay, I really wanted to point that out because it's we can easily feel we failed at something because our mind has set, our goals should be really high. So trying to attempt to it, maybe we fail an exam or we don't get the funding we want for our business or we don't, get the store we want for our business. We think, oh, we failed, and then we think we're not called to do that. However, I believe, like you said, there are phases to lead towards that direction. And even if you don't end up getting to where you want to get to, you can always, pivot and just change direction, just like how you did. Because that means you must have been really aware and forward thinking to think that, why am I doing this when I can actually own this, having that mindset. If you could travel back in time, let's say 10 years, what would you tell yourself to do differently?
That's a tough question. 10 years back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I probably would have done differently because now I think we talked about maturity. I'm more mature. I look at life from a different perspective, and even I've learned a lot in this journey. In the past 10 years, I've learned a lot. Even in my personal life, in my marriage, knowing God and being and growing in my faith, in my spirituality, there's probably some things I would have done differently, which might have saved my marriage, and even career-wise, which I don't regret where I am today because sometimes things happen for a reason. Being a single parent with 2 kids, I have the time that I have that I want to raise my kids. I can participate in their activities in their life. So things, it's just amazing how things happen the way they happen because, say for example, if I was still married and I was a physician, probably I would have been paying a nanny to raise my kids because I'll be out all day working. So it's just amazing how things change. Say I regret anything? No, I don't. Because I'm a happy woman, I feel fulfilled. But of course, yes, there's things I would have done differently if 10 years ago I was 10 years younger. So.
Right, young.
Yes.
All right, and for your business, how are you able to manage your time? Being a single mom, working, back-to-back shifts and having a business. Like, I would really love to get into the details as much as you can. But maybe there's someone out there, who they want to also start a business, and they're doing some shifts that they don't like. They do some jobs that they don't like, and they want to break out. So what broke you out from that back-to-back shift to where you are right now in terms of your business?
Like I said, I just stepped out of the box. This I was by myself at that time, with 2 kids. You have to have faith and take that leap of faith. There's no guarantees. There's no business that you will start and it says, okay, in 1, 2 months or 1 year or 2 years, you're going to make this amount of money. But if you don't step out in faith, you're never going to know what will happen.
So how do you step out in faith? Because I know faith without works is death. So you must have put in the work. So what work did you put in?
Oh, a lot of work. As they say, a closed mouth is a closed destiny. I never used to be a talkative. I used to be very quiet, probably like you because you're quiet. You remind me of me when I was younger. I used to be very quiet, but I quickly realized in my situation, if I don't open my mouth and speak and search for information, it's never gonna happen. It's not gonna come meet me in my house. So I had to step out of my comfort zone, go out there, talk to people that in my normal mind I would never have done it. I had to be bold. I had to find that inner strength. You have to, because nobody will do it for you. Not even your father, nor your mother, nor your siblings. You're on your own. As we say in America, you're on your own for real. So you have to do what you have to do. You just have to step out of your comfort zone. Just do it. If you knock a door, or they're gonna say no. And you just say thank you and have a good day, and you walk away and you go on to the next.
Right. So that must have been because you step out of your comfort zone. So it must have been uncomfortable for you to speak and tell people, okay, I want to start this business. What do I do?
Very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. But I was very blessed to have known this guy, Joe. You know, he's the one who actually helped me. He had the same kind of business, so I actually had to go to him. We used to go to the same church. It was a Catholic church. My ex-husband is Catholic. So I went to him. I said, "This is what I'm trying to do. Can you help me?" And it was amazing because immediately he said, "Yes, of course, I will help you." So that's how I was guided through. But if I never went to him and asked him, because these things they're easy if you have somebody who can just guide you, but you must speak, you must ask. Yes, the information is online. You can go online and Google whatever you want to Google and find out the information, but it doesn't really give you the whole image of what you need, the whole picture. So if you have somebody who has been there already and can help you out, it's easier. So if you know somebody who can point you towards a direction, doing the same thing that you want to do, that vision that you have, go up to that person and ask. All they'll tell you is, no, I can't, or yes, I can. And you walk away. They say, yes, you can, thank God. If they say, no, thank you, have a good day, and you move on to the next.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm happy you said, even if, there are options, people might be like, oh, I don't have anyone to meet, but, or maybe you were lucky that you had someone who had already started off that business. But I just want to let that woman know out there, if you feel like there's nobody around you, you are in a community or a country where there's nobody doing anything that is even close to what you want to do. Online, the internet is a web of, it's like
Resources.
a web of resources, a pool of resources, using your valuable time to actually research, to go online and say, okay, I'm searching for this kind of business, or women doing this, like, hey, women doing spotlight series, women doing afraid, going on there, say, let me listen to the stories of these women so I can get actual points of how they conquered their fears, how they started, and how they got to where they are right now. So just for you.
Instead of sitting there, the time you put on Facebook and all of that, you can spend that time to go to Google. I call it Dr. Google. You can give you all kinds of information, and even YouTube is good.
Yes, absolutely.
You can pull out a lot of, not everything online is true, but you
With
can
research.
get out, with research, you can get out good information. Pull out numbers, make calls,
I agree, yes. Is there anything that you are afraid of now?
Of course, we all have our fears. Yeah, we all have our fears. Being a woman in business, I always have to stay on focus. I try to be diligent because I don't want to go back to where I was. So I always have that in the back of my mind. But like I said, being a woman of God, I always say, okay, devil, you're a liar. You're trying to bring all those things to my mind, to cloud my mind. And I say, God has my back. I'll do my part, and everything will always fall in place. But of course, I always have this in the back of my mind. What if? What if? Because I don't want to go back to where I was, because the kind of business I am in is very state controlled. So there's a lot of regulations that we have to follow. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I don't want to get into any problems, so I try to do things the right way. I mean, with the state, you can never have it 100%, but I try to do things the right way. So that is always in the back of my mind. I want to always meet my payroll, so I have to always have money to make my payroll, because I have to pay people. This is America. People depend on that money. I don't want to ever have one pay period where I have to say, oh my God, where am I going to have money to pay these people? So that is what is always in the back of my mind.
So that's from your business perspective.
That's my business perspective.
How about your personal perspective as a woman?
As a woman, my kids. Raising kids in this society is a challenge. And then being a single parent, I have an 8-year-old son. And then you see, and he's a black male, of course, in America. And then you see all these things going on in this country. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, help me. Lead me to the right direction so that I can raise these kids. I was a vessel. You sent them to this earth through me. You showed me the right direction on how to point, you know. I get so scared when I see all these things. I was like, oh my God, that can be my child. And that really makes me scared, you know. So I'm believing and trusting that I'm raising them the right way where they're gonna make the right decisions once they go out there, because at the end of the day, even being a parent, you have to let them go.
That's the scary part, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So that is my fear in my personal life. It's like, oh, my kids. So I hope they make the right decisions when they're out there on their own as adults.
Right. And they can definitely say, you know, bringing them up with great foundation, you know, exposing them to godly things, you know, that's the most we can do, really, and just praying to God that
Exactly.
wherever they go to, you know, the Holy Spirit is guiding them.
Yeah, once you've given them the right tools as children, once they grow as adults, you just hope and pray that they take those things and use them when you taught them. And that's really all you can do, and just pray for them.
So what do you do to set up yourself for success when we'll talk about general and talk about daily? Because you know, success is repetitive and you gotta have some habits in place. So generally, what do you do to set up yourself for success? Set up your mind for success.
Well, the first thing is you have to be an organized person. I just believe anybody who is successful, they tell you they're organized. You cannot be all over the place. You have to, the way you structure your life, you have to be diligent. You structure your life. You can't wake up in the morning at 10 o'clock and you're sleeping there. No, like my day starts at 5:30 every day. Some days at 4, but generally at 5:30. So you have to have a structured life, a well-structured life, you know, and focus. You have to focus. What I do is, most times, not every time, I'm not going to sit here a lot. I write what I have to do the next day. You know, I have to write my tasks for the next day, you know, so that I don't wake up and, oh my God, what am I going to do today? So by the time I go to sleep and I wake up the next day, I already have tasks that I have to accomplish the next day. And believe it or not, I put a check mark. When I do one, I put a check mark. And if I don't finish them, the next day I have to finish, continue. So, because otherwise, you find yourself being behind in a lot of things. Because it's very easy to get distracted.
Right.
To get distracted doing things that are of no value, have no value to you. And then you find yourself months and you're like, oh my God, I had to do this in June, and when in October, I didn't do it yet. So you have to have some kind of structure in your life and avoid distractions. Just kind of stay focused on your goals.
So being organized and avoiding distractions is definitely key. Is there any book that you've read that has changed the way you think?
I've read so many books. I can't even start telling you the names. But it's a book by Kenneth Copeland on faith. I can't remember the name. That's a book that I held close to my heart, that I've read several times, and I can't remember the name. And I'll be honest, I read mostly Christian books. I read a lot of Bishop David Oyedepo's books, because that helps me, you know, about wisdom, about faith, about wealth. You know, I read those books because they give you an insight from a spiritual point of view on how to do things. You know, not just about a worldly way, but from a spiritual, from a biblical point of view. You know, so that's really.
Okay. And when it comes to advice, what's the best piece of advice you have been given?
So, now this brings this in mind. When I started CNC Healthcare Services, which is the name of my company, I had hired this. I mean, I'll tell you the advice that career-wise, business-wise.
Okay.
I hired this lady to do marketing for me. At that point, like I said, I was very shy. I was still not very outgoing. I was very, I would say, insecure of what I was doing, because being an African, having an accent in an industry where in the state of Georgia there's hundreds of us here, So I didn't have the courage to go out there and speak. So I hired this lady to help me with the marketing, and she came to my office and she sat down and said to me, she said, "You know what, Dr. Nicole? You are the face of your business. You are a beautiful woman. You have the personality of somebody that can influence people. Nobody can market your business better than you. You go out there and market. I'll market for you, but believe me, you can market yourself better than anybody else." So that to me was really my turning point, because once she said that to me, she said, "I'll give you pointers. I'll tell you where to go to. But go." And as she said, when you go, you knock a door, somebody says no, say, "Oh, thank you. It's nothing personal against you. Just thank them and leave and go on to the next." So that's really what has helped me in my business. It's like, if I come to you and you say, "Oh, no," then I'm like, "Okay, no problem, thank you." Or, "Do you have any other people that you can point me to, or any other resources?" And that's it. I thank you. I know it's nothing personal against me, so I just move on. So business-wise, that's really been um, what has helped me. In my personal life, it's something my mom told me when I was about to leave Cameroon as a young girl in 1994. My mom said, I was sick and went to the doctor, and I was sitting there being scared, and I was waiting for her to tell the doctor what I was sick of. And she's looking at me like, and this is like 2 or 3 months before I left Cameroon to go to Italy. And she's looking at me like, "Are you going to tell the doctor what's wrong with you?" I want her to speak to the doctor for me. She says, "My child, my daughter, you are about to go to the world by yourself. By yourself. I'm not going to be there. Nobody's going to be there," because I lost my dad when I was 12. So at that point, she was a single parent raising 6 kids. She said, "I'm not going to be there. I've given you the tools. You have to use it. If you can't speak to the doctor in Cameroon, you're going to go to Italy. You're going to be by yourself. You know nobody there. How are you going to make it?" And that was a wake-up call for me.
Wow. That's quite interesting. So how the fears, you've probably gone through really similar, from getting someone to market your business for you to no one to tell the doctor what was really going on with you. You mentioned insecurity. So what have you done to evolve into this bold, beautiful, confident, smashing woman?
What have I done? I haven't really done anything. As I said, I'll go back. I'm a woman of God, so I'll talk about God. It's the reassurance that I have in the Bible that tells me I cannot fail. I'm beautiful. I can never fail. Once you trust in God, you can never fail. Whatever you want to do, just continue looking up to Him. Focus, do your part, and everything else will fall in place. So that is what has really made me turn into this woman. I'm attending a Bible-based church that really feeds you with the Word. I tell people, let me tell you, I can't miss my church, because I need that Word in my ear to function for my week. I go to church several times a week, but like Sunday service, I cannot miss it, because if I don't go to church, by the second week, if I don't go to church on Sunday, by the second week, I start feeling drained.
Wow.
So I need I'll advise, I know not everybody's watching is a Christian, but you have to find somebody who is speaking these positive things in your life. Once people speak positive, look for the people around you that will speak positive things in your life. That will make you feel more confident, rather than hanging around people who are telling you what you cannot do and who you cannot become.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who encourage you,
Who will build
who
you
will be
up.
with you, build you up, build your morale, have information, have ideas to share with you, and that will really help you to grow.
Because you're only as good as your network. You surround
Right.
yourself with people who don't add value to you, and you are the one always giving, and nothing is pouring into you. At the end of the day, you're going to get drained, get to that level, and then all of a sudden there's nothing left for you anymore.
Yes.
So you have to definitely look for people who are way ahead. Like I said earlier on, researching, reading things, listen to people. Ensure that you're filling your mind, your thoughts, your eyes, your ears with positive things that will lift your spirit up, lift your body up, lift your mind up. What advice would you give to the woman who is doing it afraid?
Just keep doing it, and it will all fall in place. It will all fall in place. It will. I was told that too when I started. You know, it's never. It's not what you see today. This is not how it's always been. You know, it's a process. It's a stage, but eventually it will all fall in place once you stay on your focus. You stay on your vision. You stay. I don't care what it is you want to do. Anything. Sometimes we have God-given talents that we don't want to use. Not everybody has to be a physician. Not everybody has to be a pharmacist. You know, you might be a woman who is, like in my case, not being to school. Like in my case, well, I went to school, but I'm just saying, like, by yourself, you can't afford to go back to school. You probably have a God-given talent that you can use to grow to another level. Like I was watching one of your one of your shows, my dear sister Maria. She's an educated woman, but guess what? God gave her hands. Now she's a well-accomplished, she has like 4 or 5 hair braiding salons, you're near Sule. So, you know, use what God has given you, God-given talent. A lot of us miss our, you know, that was supposed to be your, you know, the path to your success, because you neglect, you kind of ignore, because you're living other people's dreams for you, not your own dream. You know, I know we come from Africa, and all our parents want us to be engineers, doctors, pharmacists, lawyers. If you're not any of those, you're a failure. But you can't live the dream for you, especially in this 2017, in this modern world. You can use your talents to scale higher heights.
So you talked about so many things. Like I'm gonna summarize later at the end. We're talking about using your God-given talent, finding out what you've been called for, and just focusing on it. So for your business now, CNC, what is the vision for it? I want our spotlight series to be the first place where you say, so that when it happens, we'll be like, yeah, she said it.
Yeah. CNC, I have a very big vision. Well, I started CNC, I think I told you when we had a little conversation before. It was actually started just for me to have money to take care of our household, the kids, while I took my boards. But once I started it, God told me, that's your ministry. That's your ministry. Don't look at it, don't despise small beginnings. That is where your growth is going to come from. Focus on it. So I have a very big vision for CNC. Of course, I have a big God, so the vision is going to come to pass. Yeah, I'm a small girl with a big vision. My vision for CNC, we are a home health company, so we provide, you know, skilled and unskilled nursing. But that's not the end. We're actually, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, any of these days now, we're actually in the process of having a school. We're going to start in Georgia. You have to start with the CNA. It's been a journey. It's been over a year that we've been trying, but I think it's going to come by the end of, by the beginning of, end of next week. We're trying to start a CNA school, which eventually we're going to add, you know, patient care tech, farm tech, and all the other kinds of medical stuff that we can add on. And eventually, why not have an LPN, train LPNs too. Down the road, we're going to do medical transportation too, and durable medical equipment. So it's going to be like a one-stop shop for everything. So that's the vision. And of course, we are in North Carolina, so I plan on going to other states. North Carolina is just home health, so we're going to do the same thing in other states. And one of my friends said, Nicole, you know you can make it a franchise. Why not? We can also do that. Yeah.
I love this woman.
Yes.
Why not dream big, right?
Yeah.
Why would you just change yourself? You might as well just dream big, because we are putting it out there and you're putting the work towards it.
Yeah. And I'll go back to something. One of my cousins, who is actually a physician here in Georgia, he said something to me, which is what really gave me the courage. He said to me, he said, Nicole, you have given up your career as a physician to do this, so don't let anything stop you. Go to the maximum that you can get. Do as much as you can get. Don't limit yourself, because if you have put your career to do this, Don't limit yourself. Don't let anything hold you back. Just keep going.
I'm gonna just ask a quick question here, which is, with this generation that we are in, where we start something, it doesn't go as quick as we wanted, and then we leave it, and then we jump, and then we leave it, and then we jump, and then we have so many things that we started, but nothing to show for it. So, what has kept you in? I know you said, your cousin said, you left your career for this, so be consistent. What is the secret of consistency? What, to keep your eyes on the goal, or is it because, I think it's because probably a lot of people don't know what they've been called for. That's probably the first issue. But for someone who knows what they've been called for and they are doing it, but they're not seeing the results, what advice do you have for that person?
Knowledge is power, because you said reading and all of that. When you read people's stories, you're going to realize that no business, nothing that you start is going to bear fruit immediately. So you have to have that patience, focus on the goal, and just keep doing it. On average, from what Dr. Google says, it takes about 2-3 years for any business to really start bearing fruit. So you cannot start a business and after 3 months, 1 year, you're tired, like, okay, it's not working, and you give up. You must keep doing it, because you're going to give up just right when your breakthrough was about to occur. You just have to keep doing it and just trusting, and it's eventually going to fall in place. It's not going to, some people are lucky. I'm not going to say it's a general rule. Some people start and it starts flourishing. But I'm just saying, like, if you put in money, invest money, for you to start break even and start having, profit, it's going to take like 2-3 years. So just stay on the goal. I know a lot of people start things after 1 year, oh, it's not working, they jump to the next thing. After 1 year, it's not working, you jump
to the next thing.
Think about it. If you just focus on that one thing, by the time you've jumped to 3 different businesses, it's 3-4 years. You would have stayed on that one business, and you would have been making profit on that one business.
And going over to the issue of comparison, social media is great, internet is great. It can be an asset, but also a liability. So you go online and you see someone doing something similar to you, and it's all beautiful and rosy, and you're wondering, well, what is wrong with mine? How do we avoid that?
Not all fingers are the same. You cannot. I tell people, you cannot start doing something, a business, whatever it is, today, or you come to America today and you're comparing with somebody who's been here for 10-20 years. You can't do that. Some people achieve those things in 3-4 years, but you have to know you are an individual on your own. You are a person of your own. You have your own walk is different from that other person's walk.
Right.
So just stay focused on your own path. As I say, stay in your own lane.
Stay in your lane.
And just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing around you. They're successful, they're not successful. And the other way around, on the flip coin, sometimes people discourage you. Oh, this person did this, it did not work. Don't worry about what it did not work. Like when I'll give you an example of myself. When I started, I had several people tell me, oh, that home health in Georgia is it doesn't work like in my community. In Nigerian community, it works. But Cameroonians, oh, it doesn't work. People have started it here, it didn't work. I said, well, that's them.
It's me.
That's them. They're different. That's why I am Nicole and they are who they are. So because it did not work for them, has nothing to do with me.
I've learned so much. I don't know about you, Nicole. It has been a pleasure. It's been eye-opening to hear about your story, but also the life lessons that you have dished out to us. And I know those life lessons you've gone through, and you're definitely qualified to tell us about this life lessons. That, from the marriage, learning from all that at the end of the day, you have to forget about what people are going to say about your situation and live for yourself, to also getting help when you need to get help. I know you, for your story, you had to get to the tipping point before you leave, but for that woman out there to really assess her situation, and there's so many other channels of help for people, victims of domestic violence out there. Reach out to someone, reach out to organizations, speak to someone who will be able to help you through all that. To your career path as well, where you wanted to be a physician, but yet you're fulfilled and you're successful, all at the same time, even if it's not at the end goal which you imagined from the beginning, but doing multiple jobs to just take care of your kids, to stepping out to say, okay, enough of this rat race, I'm going to why can't I own what I'm doing right now and providing jobs for other people, you know, stepping out of insecurity or fear of speaking out and asking people for help, you know, that has been really eye-opening for me as well, knowing that what's the worst they can say? I always say what's the worst they can say? The worst they can say is no, close the door. You know, after that happens, you just keep moving and move on to the next thing, you know. So for that woman out there, also focusing, like you said, focus on your own lane, know what you've been called for, you know, be organized, you know, but also having people around you to pull you up, you know, for you is your faith, you know. So there's got to be something strong that you're holding on to that is speaking like to you, people, friends who add value to you, who you're drawing from, but who you're also being an asset to. There's so much this video has in store, you know. So I just really want to thank you for being our guest today. So if there's anyone out there who want to reach out to you because you're an expert in so many areas, how can they reach out to you?
I'll give you my email. My email is Dr. Nicole, so DRNICOLE at cchcservices.com. I think that's the quickest way to, yeah.
And we'll also put that on the screen as well for anyone who wants to reach out to Dr. Nicole. And to that beautiful woman out there watching us, you know, thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. Please feel free to ask questions in the comment section. We would answer, but also follow us on our Instagram page at Women Doing It Afraid, or Facebook, just search for Women Doing It Afraid, or our website www.womendoitafraid.com. And like, subscribe on this video, share with your friends, and we would love to also connect with you one-to-one. Thank you all so much again, and thank you, Dr. Nicole.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. Till next time, have a fantastic day. Bye.